Babe Ruth, Calgary. This is Coach Kyle Nelson. Here to do your Q and A. I got a handful of submissions from you guys. I look forward to diving into the questions I've been given. They are absolutely outstanding questions. I can't wait to get to some of these topics to help you guys out. I do want to say thank you very much for the opportunity to serve you and your league. I know that you guys do a great job up there with coaching education and making sure that coaches are up to date on all the newest ideas, philosophies, and all that stuff. So I'm really honored to be able to work with you and be able to help you out and hopefully share some things with you that that will benefit you, your team, and your league. Before we get going with today's question, if something comes up and you want to ask another question or do another Q&A real quick, not a problem at all. I don't mind doing this. I've got some time here today because wife and daughter ended up taking off, going out for a little bit, even though we've got about 2 or 3 inches of snow on top of some ice in Chicago right now, but they ended up taking off. So I've got a little bit of time here to spend with you, and I can go through some of these questions and give you guys some good feedback. If you have any follow-up questions, you can email me, Kyle@cornerstonecoachingacademy.com. If you want to, if you have a question that's totally unrelated that it brings up, or you just missed entering your question into the Q&A, not a problem. Just go ahead and send it over to me. So I think what I'm going to do with this is I think I'm going to do this in segments based on each individual question. And that way, if a question doesn't necessarily interest you, you don't need to watch it. So I'm going to probably send this over to you guys in like 4 videos. There'll be YouTube videos. They'll be up unlisted so that only you guys will be able to find them, and then you guys can hopefully get your the answers to the questions you need. And like I said, if it brings up another question or if you have something else you want to ask me about, go ahead and just email me, Kyle@cornerstonecoachingacademy.com. I'll throw another video together for you. All right. It's not in any particular order. But the first one is it's from a coaching age group of 15 to 18, competitive, which actually all of them were competitive, which is good. You're all kind of at the same level. It's about infield play. I got 2 questions about infield play. Love talking about infield play. It says, what are some drills to improve infield range while you are indoors? I know indoor practices for you guys are probably pretty important. I know they are for me. We've been fortunate enough to play 10 games at this point, but if it's nice enough out, we're playing, and if it's not nice enough out, we're practicing in a gym right now. And so it has been kind of challenging in order to keep things fresh. I mean, our outfielders are really struggling right now with being inside. So very timely question, and hopefully this can some of the answers to this can lead you on to a few more things as we go. As you move on down the road. So what are some things that I do to improve infield range indoors? The first thing you have to realize is that what they see indoors is really different than what they see outside. A huge part of range is reaction to the ball off the bat. It's the first instinct that happens where they see the angle that the bat hits the ball. They have to be able to determine where that ball is going so they get that first step in that direction. Range is not always just about speed and movement and how quickly you can get somewhere. It's about how quick your jump is. Then your speed and movement comes in, and then also the angles that you take to the balls are really huge. So things that we struggle to get inside. I'm going to assume that you guys are working in like a gym type space, a basketball court. Obviously, if you have more space than that, that mimics more closely outside, you can do a little bit better job with this. But the two that you're not going to be able to work on inside are them reading the angle off the bat, and then the angles that they take. Because as I'm kind of picturing ourselves in a gym, our shortstops are kind of backed up in a corner. Our second basemen are over here. Our first basemen are down here. It makes like it doesn't make a 90 by 90 square at all. We're like 86 by 70 or something like that. And there's really no room to go back or forward. So we're not going to be able to work on them getting reads off the bat, which I think is huge for infielders. I know people talk a lot about it with outfielders getting reads off the bat, but reads off the bat for infielders are just as important. That first quick step, I think, is very, very important. And they're not really going to be work on angles because, sometimes like a shortstop's got to go back to get behind the bag or cut the ball off from a third baseman cutting across. So those are two things that we're really not going to be able to work on indoors. Here's where I think we can do some work inside is it takes a certain amount of comfort level once you get to a ball as you are moving in order to get into a proper fielding position and field the ball. And then even more importantly is to get your footwork set towards first base. So one of the simple drills we do is, and this can work a little bit of that range where they have to teach their body how to get into the backhand form and how to move their footwork from there. Is we set a cone up, and then directly behind the cone is where the player is. I will hit a fungo from the other side of the gym. Now, again, we're pretty tight in here, so we're gonna, if here's the back of the gym, I'm gonna probably put the cone down here, maybe 2/3 of the way across the basketball court, and then they're gonna stand directly behind that cone. I'm gonna then hit the ball to one side of them or the other, or I'm gonna hit directly at the cone. Those are the three options I have. So they're getting a little bit of the read, but it's not quite the same as if it's coming live off of a bat. Kind of a side note, I think that live batting practice is probably the best way for your infielders and outfielders to get reps defensively. We don't even call it batting practice, we call it live defensive practice, emphasizing that what we want is to get the reads off the bat. So that's just kind of a side note there. So cone here, players directly behind the cone that way. I'm going to hit the ball one direction or another. We've got enough room in the gym so that they can move well, not crash into any walls, excuse me, and kind of take off back. Now, the bad thing about this drill is that, if you have a big roster, like I carry 23 on my varsity roster, we've got about 9 infielders. We're looking at one at a time here. We have set it up on both sides so that a fungo hitter, we got a cone here, players behind them, cone here, players behind them, and fungos are hitting the opposite way. It's a little bit hectic, a little bit crazier in there, but that does double the amount of reps you can get on this drill. And the focus of this then, it becomes once they field the ball, say on the backhand side, their footwork getting set towards first base. So we like to have our infielders field their backhands with their throwing foot out. So if you've ever seen a soccer stop with the side of the foot, we teach our guys to field backhands. We roll the ball to their backhand side, and they get their right foot behind it. I assume most of our second, third, and shortstop are going to be right-handed. They get their right foot behind it, and they just stop the ball with their foot. And we just work on the soccer stop, and then from there we go into actual backhand movement. With that right foot down. And what the right foot out allows them to do is they're then able to drive off their right foot directly towards first base. So we set up a first base. They don't even have to necessarily throw it, especially if we've got it going 2 ways across the gym there. But we always want them to get their footwork set, because I think that's such a huge part of range that goes overlooked, is we can make a great play to our left, but then can we set our feet properly in order to throw? So that's one thing to really consider, is that cone drill, hit it one way or the other, or you can hit it right at the cone, and then they have to loop around the cone, set their feet so they get an angle towards first base. It kind of gives them that little, the little rounding of the routine ground ball right at them. Really simple drill, but the focus again is on their footwork after they field it, not just on getting to the ball. Let's talk footwork to the left side a little bit. So you've got a player going to their left. Their footwork, as they get there, they want to try to shuffle their feet right to left, left to target, and stop their momentum as much as they can to the outfield. So that's another thing that you could work on in this drill is that going to the left, where they have to really try to stop their momentum heading towards the outfield in order to throw. You could also work on that pirouette move with them. I don't know what level your infielders are at, but if you've got some infielders that are college type infielders, they can certainly work on that pirouette, which is, you're going to the left, you field, and then you basically turn your back to first base to plant your right foot and drive off to first. It's a really tough play, but again, something that can be accomplished inside so that they learn and know that footwork, and then when we get outside and we can read balls off the bat, and add some depth, to our range. Once we have that throwing footwork down, I think that will be very, very helpful. I hope that helps out a little bit as far as working on range, but you can always really focus on technique with backhands inside. That's something we spend a lot of time doing, is working on backhand technique with them inside, so that they have so that when we get outside, it's second nature almost to them. We really focus on that a lot. We really focus inside on them using their gloves and being athletic. So we'll do a lot of Aussie drills inside. It's not really a range thing, but it does help them with their hands, so when they get outside, they're more prepared to make those difficult plays. The Aussie drills are just on two knees with a partner, and you're throwing one or two hoppers, and you only get to use your glove hand to field the ball. We really want to build trust in the glove while we're inside. There's nothing, I guess, groundbreaking in it. I think the idea is just to really focus on what you can focus on and not try to do too much, but lay the foundation for them so that when they get outside, they have the backhand technique, they have the backhand footwork, and then we can start to expand that as we get outside. So I may have a few more things that come up in my mind as I'm recording some of these things. So if I do, I'll add a second video to this one. So that was just a real simple drill for you there. So like I said, if I as I think about a few more things, I'll probably add them to a little bit later video. So that'll end this video, and then I'll get to the next question with your next one.